Okay, let's do it. It's traditional, and I gotta tell you, every year when I come up, it gets easier to do this. And after the last election cycle, it's been a lot easier. I'd like to go nuts for about 5 seconds. It's a good day to be a Republican, isn't it? And based on that, I'm going to introduce Brian Stewart II, who's a close friend to our honoree tonight. But I got to serve on the county board with this honoree for a couple of years, and we got him started with his political journey, I guess. And I'm going to tell you, there's nobody I've never met in my life that is more honest, had greater integrity, and helped us accomplish a goal in a very rational manner. So when he became a state representative, we weren't surprised at all that he kind of kicked some dust down here. But he was an FBI agent, and he did that for years. He went from public service to public service to public service. And as the FBI, you might know, he probably knows more about us as individuals than we know about ourselves. So here's a story for Jim that he may not know that people know, but everybody's going to know at this point. We scoured to find out if there was a blemish on Jim's record. And if you know my background as a assistant state's attorney and now deputy director of the state's attorney's appellate prosecutor, we've got some ways to do some digging, not as good as the FBI. So here's the story, and after you congratulate Jim tonight to shake his hand and hear what a great individual and how fantastic a lifetime of service he's had, ask him this question at the end. I understand in his youth, in a small town up in Wisconsin, Jim and his buddy, and they were both all-American boys, went out to a farmer. And they went out to a farm lot, and the guy raised watermelon. And they went out and took watermelon from that particular lot. The next thing that they hear is there are watermelons flying down the center of the street and kind of carrying all over the place and just make a total mess. Now, is that funny in itself? No, but here's what happened to Jim. Jim got interviewed by the FBI. It turns out they went out and talked to neighbors and friends and relatives. And one of the first questions Jim was asked during his FBI interview was, can you please tell us about the watermelons? So, after you give him a pat on the back tonight, shake his hand and wish him well for a great time of service and dedication to the state of Illinois and the county of Winnebago, ask him what happened to those watermelons. And it's now my pleasure to introduce a lifetime friend of Jim's and the fellow who followed up and took the position after Jim stepped down, Representative Brian Stewart.
Move this microphone up a little bit. I know Jim is a little nervous sitting over there tonight because I told him this was going to be, he was going to be honored, not roasted. And I know some of you would probably prefer that I be a little brief, but this man's service to Winnebago County, to Northwest Illinois, to the state of Illinois, to our country, is certainly very, very long, and a lifetime of dedicated service to our state and country. But before I get into his background, I'll tell you a little bit about when I first met Jim Sacia. I met Jim Sacia in 1979. I was 3 years old, and Jim was significantly older than I was. Yes, I was a young sheriff's deputy, actually, in Stevenson County. Jim was an FBI agent that had served in the northwest part of the county. And that's when I met Jim Sacia. We had went out on and worked some crimes at that time. I've got some pictures of Jim and I counting bank robbery money. Yes, Jim gave it all back. But that's when I met Jim Sacia. So when I had the opportunity 2 years ago to succeed Jim in the Illinois legislature, to succeed a man who's been my mentor, my friend, been a colleague, and to be asked this evening to give Jim this award, it's certainly my honor and a privilege. But for those of you that don't know all of Jim's background, I'll be brief, and we'll leave the comedy up to Jim when he gets up there. But Jim is a University of Wisconsin grad, so I know he's going to be out here in time to watch the ball game here in a little bit, Jim. Jim has served in the United States Army both as a non-commissioned officer and as an infantry officer. Jim served as a member of the River Falls Police Department. And then Jim became an FBI agent in 1969. Jim served 28 years as a special agent with the FBI, first in Salt Lake City, Utah, then in Chicago, then in Memphis, and then in Rockford. And 28 years that Jim served with the FBI in Rockford, and hopefully maybe he'll tell us a few stories this evening. But during his time in Rockford, Winnebago County, Jim served on the Winnebago, Illinois School Board, served as the school board president. Jim has been a director of the German American State Bank for 23, 24 years, I believe. In 1997, he started Knight Equipment, Northern Illinois Tractor Equipment. And frankly, I think he started Knight Equipment because Jenny wanted him to get all that stuff out of the barn at the house and forced him to buy that property up there and clean the place up. Right, Jim? Oh, sure. Jim also served on the Winnebago County Board. In 2002, Jim decided to throw his hat in the ring for Illinois State Representative and was elected in 2002, served 6 terms, and one of the things that some of you may remember is that Jim said he would be elected to 6 terms, and that's what he said he'd do. And for those of you that know Jim, he's a man of his word, and Jim stepped down after his 6 terms, and that's when I got the appointment. Since then, though, Jim has got Memory Hill going on, the place just north of the Harvest Restaurant, I think, out on 20. I don't know if Jenny knows what he does over there all the time, but he's certainly there. He's also been appointed to serve on the Illinois State Chamber of Commerce. But I think Jim's most proud accomplishments is his wife, Jenny, his 3 boys, Jesse, John, and Jerry, and the many grandchildren and spouses that they have. But if you would all please rise and join me in honoring this lifetime achievement to Jim Sacia. I think you want a few remarks, but you're not going to celebrate. So,
Thank you. There's 3 things, well maybe 4, but they'll be brief. First, when Jim Thompson said, Jim, can you make it tonight? And I said, Jim, it's going to be tough. I have a commitment in Decatur at noon with a veterans group. And I knew it was about 3 hours back, but I said, I think I can make it back by 7. That's number 1 thing I wanted to say. I'm so honored to be here, but Jim Thompson didn't out and out lie, but he sure stretched the truth. Because when he said they wanted to do something for me tonight, I said, Jim, I don't want anything. He said, no, it's just a little something. Well, thank you for so much of a little something. I so wish my bride of 45 years could be here, but her 104-year-old mom lives with us, and she requires a little additional care. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is, throughout my 6 terms, my 11 years, I was often asked. In fact, I don't think, certainly not a week went by, and often not a day went by, when someone didn't ask me, how do you like your job? And Stuart has heard this many times, Senator Severson's heard it many times, Dave Winters has heard it many times, many of you have heard it. I always said, never vacillated. On a scale of 1 to 10, this job is at least a 26. I loved every minute of it, and I just so wanted to live up to my commitment of no more than 6 terms, because that's what I said, and selfishly, I stepped down a little early so that we could get a good conservative in, and there's nothing that has made me prouder than the person you chose in Brian Stewart, and he's gone on to serve exceptionally well, and I'm honored to say that. The last thing I want to say is, I think it says in the book, Jim retired from public service. I'm just shifting gears. I love what I did. I love public service. And Jenny does need me out of the house. So I am so flattered and honored by this. It truly was not expected. I mean sincerely, it was not deserved. to have been there and to have served is something just gave me great, great pleasure. To occasionally make Michael Madigan very concerned just thrilled me to death. I will cherish this, the privilege of serving all of you in Winnebago County and all you good folks from out in Stevenson and Joe Davies and Whiteside and Carroll. I almost forgot you, Clint. This has really been a great honor, and I hope to see you in the arena again soon.